One of the many iconic ships from Star Wars is the Radiant 7 Republic cruiser, which you can spot in The Phantom Menace right at the start of the film, and it signifies the peak of the Republic and its technological advances. It's a beautiful ship, and there are many variants of this, and I felt what better way to challenge myself than to create this in Starfield. Unfortunately, with it being a cruiser, I knew that there was a good chance that this is going to be a little bit larger than is currently supported in vanilla, so I went ahead and downloaded a mod that allows us to extend the ship's building limits, and I managed to get it to 82 meters long, so 2 meters over the max limit. So if you do want to produce this yourself, you're going to have to either make some sacrifices to the build, or you're going to have to get the mod yourself. We've tried to get it as close to the real thing as possible. Unfortunately, we didn't have all the parts. You can see we have added some turrets. You can see this on some of the variants from the board game. I think it's Star Wars Armada, I might be mistaken. But we've gone ahead and added some turrets there. We've also gone with the cream and red skin rather than the all red with a little bit of cream. I just think it looks better. And we're going to break this down into several pieces and put it together so that you can see exactly how I've done this. So let me break this apart and then we'll talk about each section separately. And here we are, we have broken this down into 5 pieces to try and make this as easy to follow as possible. We have the main bulk of the ship. This is what we'll start with. Then we have this section, which is the bridge, followed by the engines, and then we have the engine and back wing cladding, I guess you could say, and finally we have the outer cladding along the front as well. So we'll start off with this piece down here, and as you can see, she's made up of only a couple of pieces really. The first thing that I should mention with this is we are building this at our own landing pad. I'm also level 36 and have rank 4 in Starship Design, I believe, so that you can hopefully get the parts that we're using. The first thing that we're going to want to place is the reactor. We have this Fuser DC-401 reactor. It's a big one. And I believe it shows up as white on the build. We've changed this to red, and we've placed this at the front of the ship, mainly because we didn't have any other place to put it. From there, we're also going to have the Deimos Engineering on the top max section, and underneath against the reactor, we're going to have a storeroom as well. This is creating the nose of the ship. And then we are going to have our 4 landing gears, which are the Accu landers, and they each have 2 thrust. And we're going to slide them against the Deimos storeroom. We're going to place the all-in-one berth against the engineering bay. What's nice about this build is there's also quite a clean through line for the passageways, as you'll see here. We're going to take our Deimos companionway here, although you can turn this into a storeroom as well, should you wish. And from here we will place our landing bay. This is going to go against the storeroom. And above our landing bay, we're going to have the armory. With it being a military ship, you're going to want to have that there. And we're using these Stroud engine braces. These are really important, getting all of this to fit together. Now that we've got the landing bay, the reactor, we're going to place our grav drive. The Aurora 13G. This is just any one that I could pick up, which has multiple slots. I wanted to be able to use all of those pieces to slot other items to them if necessary. And we're going to place a storeroom on the other side, or vice versa. At this point, you should have the main section of the ship built. It's a really simple build. It's only the outer cladding where it starts to get a little bit more complicated. Speaking of which, let's move to the next section, which is the bridge area. We're going to place a control station above our armory. We're then going to place a companionway and our Magellan cockpit. On top of the cockpit, I have added our Firebolt 4000 suppressor. This was the closest thing to a radar dish that I could find, but obviously use whatever you want for this. And then we're also going to have our helium tank on the side. This is more for decoration than anything else. And our Guardian shield. I'm using the 102D just to give us the most shielding possible. And then we're going to place the connector or Connect Pro Docker on top of our companionway. At this point, we're going to add these Taio side caps on both sides, and that's going to be connected to the control station. And then we also have the Nova cowling, which we can add for now, but we're going to have to remove that in order to connect. In fact, we can do this now. Let's just grab one of the Deimos Spine Bs. And then we're going to place our Nova cowling on here. We're going to flip it twice and then press Tab. And we have clipped that together. Okay. For the engines, we're going to be using the Supernova 2000 engine. We're going to have 3 of them. And we're going to connect them with the Stroud engine braces, which you can see here. I've used these because they're the closest thing to the round engines that we have, and then I've tried to add the Nova cowling, the 2LBM, on both the above section and below section to make it look more cylindrical, because otherwise you have kind of a snub-nosed look to the engine. Perhaps that's what you like, in which case you do use it. But we're going to place these on the outer sections, followed by the Taio braking engine on each section. From here, we can drag this in, and it's going to connect just onto the end, like so. This is where it all starts to get interesting, because we need to clip multiple items together. If we take this section here, you'll notice that we have 5 pieces. I'm going to drag them over to here so you can see how we've built this up. The easy piece is the Hope Tech cap, which is going to go on top of the Grav drive. So once again, we're going to flip it a few times, then use Tab to release it on top. We can do the same with the other piece. Like so. Next, we have the Stroud cap. This is going to slide onto here, but we don't want to do this just yet. First, we want to take our Deimos Wing A port, and we're going to slide that onto here, this section here with the Stroud engine bracer. Again, we're going to flip this and then use Tab to release it. And what this does is it gives us, firstly, that angle, the triangular end coming on. Unfortunately, we can't make it a perfect triangle, but we can get as close as possible. But we are creating a section here and a section here to equip this, which is the Deimos Wing B. So we're going to place one there, and then the opposite way around, we're going to place another one here. Now we can take our Stroud Cap A, which we mentioned before, and we're going to flip it 4 times to there. And that is how we've done this engine section. We'll do the other side really quickly, and then once that's done, we'll cover the other shrouding. If you've got this far, the rest is going to be pretty easy for you to do. So this is the hydrogen tank that we're going to use to create that circular section at the end. Also, I should mention, if you are interested in seeing iconic ship builds, I did recently do the Serenity, and that was a difficult build, but we've got a pretty good shape going, so do check out that video. I'll put a link to that now as well. But let's continue with this. We're going to place our Nova cowling against here. I do wish we had another piece that we could place under. And we're going to run this piece across to here. Next, we'll grab our Hope Tech Riser A, place that on top. And we're going to grab a equipment plate as well as any turret or weapon that you want. I've chosen to go with the Auto Alpha turret. We're going to place that at the front on the top. We'll then grab this spine here. The spine you've already seen, we're using the Deimos Spine B. We have 5 in total of these because if you remember rightly, we have 1 that's built into the Nova cowling. We're going to drag that across. And this gives us 1 space at the end to add this little dip. And thankfully, along with this, we can choose the color scheme to reflect really nicely, similar to how it's done in the film. From here, we're going to grab our Deimos Wing A port and snap that underneath here. And we're going to do that also on the edge here, along with I think that's, yeah, the Wing B port. And underneath that, I've placed another turret. I'm using the Auto Neutron turrets because if we hover over this, you can see it's using max power 3, which means we can use 4 turrets, which is 2 underneath and 2 on top. I'm going to then mimic exactly what we've just done below above. However, we are going to have to merge the pieces together again, specifically this last wing. So we're going to flip it and then press tab. You can see how this merges into the Nova cowling. We'll rinse and repeat this on the other side. Like so. And you're done. The only thing left to do now is to choose your color palette for your build. And we've taken the inner spine section and left that red. And then we've added the outer sections as the light cream color as the primary, and then used the red as the secondary and third color. And of course, if you are looking for a paint scheme that's more true to the Star Wars Radiant 7 that you see in the Phantom Menace, for this I've painted the vast majority of the pieces red as the primary, and then for the secondary and third palette we've gone with the cream, and it's given it this nice cream trim around the outside with the red as the main block color. And it looks pretty darn good, if you ask me. And here we are, the Radiant 7 Starfield edition. Let me know if you feel this is a good version based on the pieces that we have. I'm really happy with how this has turned out. Let's jump in. And here we are. We have the landing bay at the bottom, at the back, followed by the armory, which is this here. We also have the first storage bay just beneath us in the 2-in-1 berth. In front of this we have our engineering bay for all our mechanical needs, with obviously the reactor being this side here, and our second storage just below. We're now going to head up to the next level. This is where the control stations are for the crew, and also a third storage area. Oh, actually, there isn't a storage area here. Oh, it's here. One thing I would mention, instead of having these storerooms, you could just replace them with cargo bays if you want. The problem is you have to have another landing gear in order to support the weight, but that would clear out any of the excess ladders that you see, which I know a lot of you dislike. And from here we have access to the docker, and more importantly, our flight deck. Let's give her a spin. So guys, let me know what you thought, and what you'd like to see us build in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, special thanks does go to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon, most notably our Soloclipse patrons, James Irwin, Firefless and Trebor, as well as our Lunars, the Calamity Ben, Star and That Dude W, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Brain Slug. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.